We are the biggest, we are the largest, we are the highest, we are the greatest, we are the tallest, we are the toughest, and we are the mightiest African spiritual platform. We talk everything spirituality, liberation, and consciousness. My name is always Queen Hadasha. I am Empress Makida. I am Labraska, the Sun Goddess. I welcome you to another great episode. My people are here. When they are here, you know how I love the Prabhus, and they also like me. Prabhu Baladev, wherever you are, my love to you. You know that you have really missed you. Get in touch. That's Asamoah, Sukadev, Swami, Jana, Shakshus, all the das, and all the Prabhus and the Prabhus and the Prabhus. I appreciate your love for this platform. I welcome you, my people. If today happens to be your first time, you are the right place, because this is consciousness platform. You will liberate yourself as a human. Today is another Prabhu. I think I will call this week a Prabhu week. I don't know how we are going to do this, but trust me, we are going to disperse a lot of knowledge into your system. I welcome you people. Let's welcome our guest for today. Papa, we welcome you.
Thank you very much.
Great. Today is your first time on this platform, so yes, you have to introduce yourself to the viewers. Tell us who you are, and then why you are here before we get into your conversation.
Yes, my name is Isvara Dasa, and I was born in Nigeria, and I have been involved with this organization, this movement, spiritual movement, for the past 44 years, and I've been all over the world. I live in USA. I'm currently living in India, and I've come to Ghana because we have a special celebration. It's the 25th anniversary of our deity, Radha Govinda, God. So I have come for that, and then I've been requested to come. To come here. Thank you very much for coming. I welcome you.
We appreciate your presence on this platform. In fact, we love you people. Though. You give us free knowledge. We appreciate you guys. Okay, so I'm going to do randoms with you. Questions that are not part of your topic before we get into your topic. As for your name, I won't try mentioning it.
Isvara Dasa.
I can't. I don't want to.
Okay, just say Prabhu.
Prabhu. That one is easy. Prabhu or Das. I'm safe. But I will still learn how to mention your names. I hate to fail in anything in life. I always want to learn and get things right.
The word Isvara means the controller.
The controller.
That is God.
That is God.
So I am the servant of the controller. Isvara Dasa. Dasa means God. Dasa means servant.
Oh, okay.
So I'm the servant of the controller, which is God.
I will still learn the name later. I can only mention Shakshus, Jana, Das. That one, I learned it for 1 whole year before I can mention it. It's not easy, So I'm going to do a little bit of randoms with you so we can bond for the topic.
Okay.
You are an African.
Yes.
Nigerians have their spirituality and their way through to God. Why did you choose otherwise?
Well, when I got involved with this movement, the way Nigerians are now, because now in Nigeria now there are so many Christian pastors, very, very famous. By the time I was involved, the time I was searching, that particular time, this is the time when it was very, very common among the Nigerians, especially those in the high school or college. They always searching for different aspects of spirituality. There was one famous person, his name was Lobsa Rampa. He was quite famous that time, but he was really like a mysticism, and all that's very common. And also there are many, let's say, mystical groups, like Ekanka, different groups in Nigeria at that time. So I was also very, very much interested about trying to find out about myself, trying to find out who am I, why am I in this world, and why there's so much problems in the world, and also especially why there is so much inequality in the world. So there must be reason behind all these things. So I began searching, reading so many books. And then eventually I came across the Eastern spiritual books called Bhagavad Gita, and that's what got me interested in this path.
Okay, so what I want to know is that everybody goes to India when it comes to spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody goes to India. What is there?
Because India is very ancient. That's a very ancient tradition. And the fact that the lifestyle in India is molded around spirituality. Even though, yes, materialism is also there, but the general mold of life, there is spirituality, whereby people spend more time in meditation, spend more time in austerity, like people can go to the mountains, like Himalayas. So it's just the mode of life there is just basically centered around spirituality. And that's why the people tend to flow towards India. So when you hear spiritualism, when you hear mysticism, you immediately think of India.
And that's what I want you to throw light on. If you say it's ancient, we are all ancient people. Ghana is not 2 years old.
Yes,
it's been here since creation.
Yeah.
And Nigeria has been there, the Oshun and the rest, they've been there. So I want to understand why we always go to India for spirituality. Is it that they saw something and they kept, we didn't keep our own? What exactly make India so spiritual than us that we need to go there? Even if we start spirituality here, when you go there to top up, the people accept you. That secret is what we want to know.
Yeah, it's as you say, everything is ancient. That when I say ancient, it's not that there's so much about the existence of the people or the particular culture, but the spiritual understanding of India, especially there are the books, the scriptures. It's the oldest in the world. The thoughts which have been put in writing is the oldest in the world.
Which can you mention some of the books?
Well, like we call it Vedas. And especially we have books like Bhagavad Gita, which is 5,000, which was written down 5,000 years ago. But previous to that, it exists in the oral tradition. It has been there like thousands and for millions of years. But 5,000 years ago, it was written down. So because of this ancient knowledge, and this ancient knowledge has been preserved. It is preserved from one generation to another generation. So the practicality is actually it's the most scientific, the scientific approach. When I say scientific, I mean the spiritual scientific. It's not something that you can find in the laboratory, But this is a tradition that is there, but it's then in the scripture, which have been put together by the ancient sages. Sage, we call them rishis in Sanskrit. So they put all this knowledge, thought in writing, that anyone from any stage of life or any part of the world can actually read these books, read these ancient scriptures, and get enlightenment from them.
Okay, so the Vedas is what we are talking about.
Yes.
What's the difference between the Vedas and Bhagavad Gita?
The Bhagavad Gita is part of the Vedas, and Bhagavad Gita is the cream of the Vedas. Actually, Bhagavad means God, and Gita means song of God. So it's let's say it's a collective code that is coming from the Vedas, and that is put into, it's called the Bhagavad Gita.
So we can say they are the same.
It's the same.
It's the same.
Yeah.
Okay, so who actually wrote Bhagavad Gita? What inspired that person? Is that book the word of God?
Yes. As I said earlier, Bhagavad Gita is the word of God. It means the song of God. Bhagavad means God. Bhagavad. Bhagavan means the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Gita means song, which means it was spoken by God, it was sung by God.
Okay.
It was sung by God to a devotee of God. And the Bhagavad Gita, and the best way to put it, there was I don't know if you heard of Mahabharata. Mahabharata is a great story of India, whereby it met the narration of different families, and a lot of stories are there, which are very moral stories in this great book of knowledge. And Bhagavad Gita is actually a section of this Mahabharata book. And the setting of the Bhagavad Gita was on a battlefield, whereby there was a war that's supposed to take place between family members. And the main person, who was supposed to be like a great general, who happened to be a devotee of God, seeing the great battlefield, seeing the great soldiers on both sides, who are actually basically family members, and they are opposing each other to get ready to fight. So Arjuna, his name was Arjuna, he's a great warrior, and then he became discouraged. Even though he was supposed to fight for righteousness, but he became discouraged. He said, oh no, I don't want to engage in this fighting. And then his charioteer happened to be God himself, who has appeared. His name is Krishna, who appeared. God has descended as Krishna. And then he was confused. He was deliberating whether he should fight or not. And they became so confused. And then he approached Krishna, God, that you know everything. I'm very, very confused. I don't know what is to be done. So therefore, please enlighten me. So Bhagavad Gita is a question and answer. Arjuna was asking a question, and Krishna was giving the answer. And this book is of 18 chapters. And the first chapter, the chapter actually begins with the science of the soul, whereby you know who you are, what is the difference between the body and the soul. How the body is temporary, this material body is called material body, is temporary, but the person residing inside the body is the soul is eternal. Like my senior has been telling you before, that yes, there's what we call reincarnation, how the soul goes from one body to another body, according to what we call the law of karma.
Okay, you are watching The Biggest. I will ask my last question, and then we get into your topic. Okay. Bhagavad Gita has about 70% of the Bible in it. The same Bible, Quran also has about 70% of this same Bible, part of it, in Quran. Mm-hmm. Now, it is believed that the thought god of Egypt, the god of writings, wrote a tablet. They call it Anunnaki tablet. Mm-hmm. And it is believed that these Phoenicians went to learn about thought, and then when they were learning about them, they changed the tablet into a Hermes, the god Hermes, Greek god, in that the tablet belongs to him. And mm-hmm. they made it into scrolls, placed it in Qumran, then they found it and turned it into Bible, and the same way everybody picks part of that tablet and make it into, let's say, Bhagavad Gita, Quran, and all the rest of the spiritual books that we are reading. Mm-hmm. What do you know about this?
Well, I would say that's a speculation, because as I said before, Bhagavad Gita is much older than all of those things that you're talking about, whatever the book of Egypt or the Greek. Bhagavad Gita is the minimum is that is at least 120 million years old. That's when it was first spoken to the sun god, 120 million years old ago. So is the most ancient, the most oldest of all the thoughts, of all the compilations. So whereas all other books which you've mentioned, they are like later, which according to particular tradition, according to particular culture, there was a time when people used to wander around. So when people go to India, and then they will learn something, and then they will come back to their particular tradition, and then put something together. Just like it was said that Jesus was in India, he was said. He was in India, he was in Jagannath. So he came back and then he taught something to his people about idea of God. So the people according to a particular tradition, either Greek or Egyptian or Roman or whatever. So this is something which they've gleaned, they get from the ancient Indian religion like Bhagavad Gita, ancient thought. And then you put something together for their particular people. So it's not that Bhagavad Gita is a part of, no. It's rather
the other way around.
Other way around.
So the Bhagavad, can you what do you know about the Bhagavad Gita and the tablet of the Anunnakis? Let's leave them, since what you said means that the Bible is just 2,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Old, and Bible is older than Quran. So let's say the Bhagavad Gita is over 1 million years ago, so it is the senior. So let's narrow it down. The Bhagavad Gita and the Anunnaki tablet. Do you have any idea about these two tablets, the scrolls?
Well, I've not read the Anunnaki tablet. I've not read it.
Okay.
And nor do I see any need to read it.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, you are watching the biggest. So you believe what history or what do you have about Jesus being in India? Do you also have a bit of story to tell us about that?
Well, there's one particular book called Aquarian Gospel of Christ. I read that book like some 40-something years ago. That Jesus was in India, and he was in a place called Jagannath. He saw all the rituals. He mixed with the priest of Jagannath. Because if you look at it, like the Jesus Christ, you will not find from the age of
18. They call it the missing 18 years.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't find that in the Bible. Where was he in that time? Between the age of 12 to 30, where was he? So that's 18 years. So it was generally believed that he was in India. So that book, Aquarian Gospel of Jesus. Actually, our master, called Prabhupada, he did mention this also, that Jesus was there in India. And also, supposedly, after he was crucified, and then he got up, he woke up. Supposedly, he went back to India, supposedly, and he was in Kashmir, where he actually lived till old age, and then he was
died and buried in that book.
Yeah.
I have read that book.
So that was and of course, I know that our Christian brothers may not believe that, but this is some of the, some of the revelation.
Anyway, this para-universe is so huge and it's ancient, so we keep learning.
Exactly.
We are the biggest, we are the largest. So we are getting into your topic now. And what are we discussing? Oneness of God and oneness of religion. Is it true that the Supreme Being is one, and therefore the process of approaching him is also one? That's a question. That's the topic we are coming to discuss. That is huge. If so, why so many paths leading to? Is that huge? I think we will need 5 hours to discuss this.
Exactly.
Tell us about it.
Well, there's only one God. It cannot be two. There's only one controller. Like in our Sanskrit, it's Isvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anandi Adi Govindam Savakarana Karana in the Sanskrit language. Isvara means the controller. That is supreme controller. There is a supreme controller, God, Krishna, and he is the origin of all the origins. And he has a particular nature. His nature is eternal, is full of knowledge, and very, very blissful. He has no origin, but is the origin of all other origins. He is the cause of all causes. That is God. So God is one. God cannot be two. But however, he has many, many personalities who he has deputed to take charge of aspect of creation. Just like here in Ghana, you have the president. There's only one president. You cannot have two presidents. You have the president, and the president has got his various ministers. So the various ministers are there who simply acting at the pleasure of the president. Now the ministers cannot take a decision on his own unless he first consults the president. So similarly also, there are many controllers. There are those who are in charge of the water, in charge of the sun, the moon. Just like in my tradition from Nigeria, from Yoruba, we have what we call Olodumare. Olodumare means the supreme God. But that supreme God has got that. Now there are many deities like Shango, like Oya, many of them. The god of water, the god of thunder, the god of this.
The one that water, fire comes out of
the god
mouth.
of fire. So many. But there is one supreme God, and all the others, the sub-controllers, they all under him. So I think every tradition in the world, they have such belief. Every tradition in the world, they have such belief that there is one God, but there are many other controllers. Now, some of the misconception that people have about India is that they believe that people think that India is polytheist, that they worship many gods. But that's just a misconception. Because according to the Vedic scriptures, that yes, there are what we call demigods. Demigods are like the different gods that are in charge of different aspects of creation. But all those demigods, they are under one God, who is the supreme controller. It's not that there are many gods. There's only one God. That cannot be true. But however, that God is known according to different traditions. And his name is also called differently. It's called differently. Same God, but different names.
Mention some of the names and let's see.
Okay. In our Africa here, we have Olorun, or Olodumare. Olorun means your language is Tui or Ewe?
Tui. We are Nyankopon.
Okay. So I'm sure, I don't know, how do you call God here? What's your name?
In Chi, they call it Unyankopon. Ghana people call it Nyomo. Where people call it Mawu. We have different languages and different the way all of them call.
Okay. So it's similarly also, like it's also called Yahweh in the Middle East. It's also called Hala in the, or Jehovah. So, and then we have Bhagavan. Bhagavan means the supreme person, the person. Or Krishna. Krishna means is the the all-attractive God, all-attractive personality of Godhead. So, different tradition, different culture, God is called different names. But it doesn't mean that because God is called different name, according to a particular tradition, doesn't mean that there are many gods. There's only one person, but just happen to have many names. Even we ourselves, when we are born, we are given so many names. When I was born, my name was given, I have at least 5 different names. One by my father, one by my mother, one by my auntie, uncle, grandfather. They all come with different names. So if we can have many names, why can't God have so many names?
But that's the problem. When you say God is a Jehovah, Yahweh, you are calling different gods. And when you say Allah is the same as God, up till now, the Christians and the Muslims are not certain that they are worshiping one God. The Muslims are telling Christians that they are worshiping one God. Allah is the same as God they are worshiping. They are also saying that your Allah is different from our God, okay? And when you mention Yahweh or Jehovah, when you mention Yahweh, they will tell you it is the God of the Israelites. And when you mention Jehovah, you are directing it to another God. That I don't want us to get into that. So if you say how do you call God in your movement?
Krishna.
Krishna. So when you say Krishna right now, a lot of people will not admit that you are talking to the God, the supreme God. It's only your fraternity that believe that Krishna is the supreme God. Christians will tell you it's about Jesus. Muslims will tell you it's about Muhammad. Okay, so let's leave those names. But if you feel all this worship or all this name is attributing to one God, the supreme being, why the different approach or different worship? How? Can you explain this?
Yeah, you have to know that first of all, before I talked about that, the why different approach, we have to begin to understand that God is not limited. If we are thinking that God is only limited to our particular tradition, so which means we are simply using our own mind intelligence to limit God. We want to put God in a box. Putting God in a box. That, okay, God is this. We can only God this way only. But God is beyond all that. God is beyond all that all we can think of, or all we can visualize, or we can conceptualize. God is beyond all that. So there are many cultures in the world. There are many languages in the world, and every language do address God differently according to their particular way of understanding. The language is not the same. French said Dieu, English said God, and
that we understand. Okay,
yeah,
that we understand perfectly. But when you bring it to our local dialect, like you ask in Ghana, when you say God, we some people will say this is our God. You get me? People have narrowed the supreme being into their own box. For example, when you mention Nigeria, you mention no, you mention other gods that are there.
Yeah, like Shango
and other. We also have Shango in Ghana called Hebieso. It's in Nogokpo. So we actually attribute this God. Those who are really holding their customs and religions will attribute the name God to this Shango and all that. They will not say God is the supreme being, the creator. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Let's narrow it down. Let's say we are going with your understanding or your knowledge today. If God is one God, like Muhammad is the same God, you said so.
But Muhammad is a messenger of God.
Allah, if you say Allah is the same God, and if you say the Christian God, the God Yahweh is the same God, your Krishna is equally the same supreme being that we are talking about. Why is your worship or your way of communicating to him different, and Muslims have the different way, Christians have the different? Why is it so? That's the question.
Yeah, these various names of God, they happen to address various attributes of God, attributes. Normally, the general conception of God means the God, which means the God who is the omnipotent, the omnipresent, So various attributes, God is known actually according to particular attributes. Means the supreme being, the supreme present, the supreme independent, many attributes. So in the Sanskrit language especially, there are many attributes of God. Now, there's in the Bhagavan, it's described that Bhagavan means the possessor of all opulence. Opulence means the attributes of wealth, which means is known by being the most wealthy, the most knowledgeable, the most beautiful person, the most powerful person, the most famous person. So there are 6 attributes of God which are mentioned in the Vedic scriptures, by which God has all these opulences in full, and no other living entity have that. Only God has them in full. So according to these particular various opulences, so God is known in names. And these attributes are filtered to different traditions in the world, to different cultures in the world. So therefore, God is known accordingly in that. But until one actually begins to really to study the science of God, the science of, let's say, spirituality. So it would be difficult to really have proper understanding of this, or the ones that really start going deeper into this science. And that's why many of us who came from outside of India to come to this traditional Vedic tradition or Krishna conscious tradition, because we have studied quite a bit. Many of us, we came from different contemporary religions. Like, I was originally born as a Muslim. Then when I was in high school, then I started studying Christianity. And then when my questions of life was not answered, then I eventually came to the Vedic tradition, which actually answered all my questions. So many of us, we are like that. We are searching. We are searching for the understanding of God. And then when we came into this Vedic tradition, by which Bhagavad Gita, there are other scriptures, then the many questions which we have been asking were answered, as well as many questions which we have not even been thinking of, were also answered in them.
You are watching the biggest. Okay, so then, if you are saying it is one God,
yeah,
why then your answer was not answered? Your questions were not answered in Christendom. It was not answered in Islam, that where you were born, but it was answered in your Vedic. Why is this so? Is the God there weak? Is the God there a shallow-minded that cannot answer questions? Since they are the same God, what brought about this?
Well, because the teachers, they were unable to answer. Because when I ask the question that why there's so much suffering in the world, why somebody is good, another person is bad, the answer is always that where God made it that way. So it's like, what kind of God? Why God is not fair to everyone? Why does he have to make someone suffering and making someone enjoying? And also, why would God have to send someone to hell and send another person to heaven? So there are always many unanswered questions. Whereas when I came across the Vedic knowledge, Vedic teachings, that God is not like all those things that we always think that God is. That somebody is good or somebody is enjoying and somebody is suffering because God made it that way. No, God has nothing to do with that.
Okay, so since you came into the Vedic and now your questions were answered, what have you done about those you have left behind?
I mean about
the Muslims and the Christians, where questions are not mostly answered, where the teachers are not teaching.
Yeah, because the teachers don't know.
So what have you done about it?
Because they don't know, so therefore how can they teach what they don't know?
So what have you done about it?
Well, in respect to with those people?
Yes.
Well, I mean, that's what I've done about it is to share what knowledge I've gained.
To share with them. So do you go to the church to talk to them? Do you go to the mosque to talk to them about this? Or how do you get the knowledge to them?
If they are open to it.
No, so it means you've not started at all. You've not tried anything.
No, we've always been trying. We always.
So I want to know how.
No, we have always been trying, because if they're open to it, as a matter of fact, we have many areas whereby we have many pastors, even cardinals, who have become very much interested in the philosophy. I remember one time I was in Zimbabwe, where we had opened a center there, and in that place there was one particular church whereby the pastor became very much interested in our teaching. That the pastor was actually, he will invite us into the church to preach to the congregation. So the pastor became very much favorable, that almost every day he will come to our temple to hear and also to partake of our spiritual food. So it's just a matter of becoming open-hearted.
Okay, so then the pastors who don't even know to teach the people, what happened to this chunk, this huge amount of innocent souls that are there? They don't know. The one leading them don't even know to teach them.
Yeah.
Maybe they will not have the idea to leave and go like you did, what do you think the Supreme Being will do to them? What happens to them and the Supreme Being? Like, what is going to happen between these innocent people and the Supreme Beings?
Well, as the God says in the Bhagavad Gita, he said that everyone somehow will follow me. And he said that as they follow me, I give them particular reward. So which means the means of approach to God is not the same. So everyone has a level of approach, and they get a particular reciprocation. Another thing is that the step that you have taken in a particular lifetime, so that step, which means by taking a particular step, you accumulate a credit, we call it spiritual credit, and that credit will follow you to your next life. So which means if you begin a particular tradition in this life, it doesn't matter Muslim, Christians, or Vedic lifestyle, and you've accumulated, let's say, 10% of piety. So in your next life, you begin again your next life. You begin from 10%, you begin from 11%. So that's how it goes on.
That's what we are talking about. So the people who don't know to teach other people, you've been there before. That's why I'm asking these questions.
Yeah.
Like Muslims and the Christians, like you said, they don't even know to teach the followers.
Yeah.
So when you look at them, what percentage would what they are doing get them to? Do you get the question?
Yeah.
What percentage would they get them to? Though they will come back and correct until they correct the errors, yeah, they are not going up there. So what they are doing, they don't even know. And the leaders don't even know to teach them. So looking at them, you've been there before, and everything they are practicing, how many percentage do you think this will get them?
It's actually a very small percentage, because the Lord says that the Lord says out of many thousands and thousands of people who are searching for me, he said hardly 1% will come to me, hardly 1%, and which he said hardly 1% will attain the self-realization, which may understand their relationship with God, and even among those who have actually become spiritually self-reliant, become knowledgeable, even amount of thousands of them, maybe only 1%. Because the main goal of life is development of love of God. That's the main criteria, is to develop love towards God. But that love of God is not easy. It takes time. Because why? We have a particular desire. We have a certain desire, and God will not interfere with our particular desires, because the main thing is that we have desire to basically to enjoy in this material world. We want all comfort of life. So, and the Lord will not, even though we approach Him, we are worshiping Him, but at the same time we're also maintaining our particular desires, because we want to enjoy separately from God. So God will not interfere with it. He will not interfere. He will let us do whatever
so
we want.
We want to know the percentage this will get them and how it can affect them.
This is a lifetime of creation. Now, our understanding is that a person can become perfect in one lifetime, or it can take you several lifetimes to attain perfection. But somehow, one has to begin somehow. It can begin from your own tradition, to believe that, okay, there's God, and I must worship Him. You begin from your own particular tradition. So it can be, let's say, about our African tradition here, whereby people believe in many, many things. They believe in when there's a big thing, like a big river, or a big tree or big mountain, people worship that. So there's nothing wrong in those kind of worship, because people have a particular belief in that. And that belief system is what will lead them to something higher in the next life. That will lead them higher in the next life.
So looking at you right now, you've joined this movement for over 40 years.
Yeah.
Looking at you and your service, and from the time you joined this movement, what level do you assume or can predict that you are?
Well, that's something we don't tell about ourselves. We don't say that, oh, I have attained this level, and then no, so now I'm a perfect person. You will not find this in any of our practitioners, because our soul teaching is to accept oneself, to accept how fallen we have been, this because we've turned our back towards God, and that's why we're here in this material world. And we cannot say that, oh, now I've attained perfection, now I'm now in love with God. No. That cannot be, because the more a person becomes more spiritually advanced, the more that such a person will realize that, oh, I am so fallen because I'm here in this material world. I'm trying to put myself in the position of God. That's why I'm here. So the more advanced one is spiritually, the more realization that we have.
So at the advance that you have come in spirituality, and then the more you are practicing love, where you are now, the knowledge you have, the understanding, the questions that were bothering you that is being answered. So do you think where you are now, if you shouldn't have known this fraternity or movement, and you were still in Islam and you were still in Christianity, what do you think would have happened to you?
Well, if I didn't come to this path, I would just be like everybody else, trying to chase material success, and the fact that we use God to further our being in this material world. I remember when I used to go to church, when the pastor is praying, when the time for prayer comes, it's like there's a whole long list of things to ask for God. My God, I want this, I want that, I want this. I want my enemy to be defeated. There's so many things. That's what people are going to church. They pray for God. But when a person becomes spiritually realized, he actually wants to serve God. It's like, for example, our prayer actually means, oh my God, allow me, please engage me in your service. That's actually our topmost prayer. That, oh my dear God, please engage me in your service. We don't ask for God, give me this, give me that, give me that. Because why? Because God is not our order supplier. So we are meant to serve him.
You are watching the biggest, we are meant to serve him, and you are saying the same God is in Islamic religion, the same God is in Christianity, the same God is everywhere, like you said. So why are some not teaching or answering questions, and why the different way of worship?
So, in the Vedic tradition, there are let's say there's a tradition of teachers. They are tradition of teachers. We call them gurus. So this long list of tradition of teachers, their life is based on renunciation, whereby they don't aspire of anything in this material world, and whereby their life is based that, yes, the approach to God is not to desire anything of this material world. It's not to, so therefore they practice a life of what we call renunciation. They practice a life of austerity. So, and then they are imbued with full knowledge. And you see, with that knowledge, because their knowledge is not about this material world, it's about that other world. We call it spiritual world. It's that knowledge that which they give us. And then with that knowledge they give us, and then we ourselves, we begin to disassociate ourselves from trying to acquire any form of success in this material world, or trying to chase what we call the rat race. So therefore, if we see that our devotees, wearing this simple dress, because we don't desire any good thing or so-called good thing of this material world. Because why? Because they are temporary, they are temporary, and also they are binding force. They bind in this world, which means there's what we call the word of karma. So they bind you here, and what you do, again, the next life is there, the next life is there. Whereas our purpose is how to stop our situation in this material world, how to get out of this material world, because we don't belong here. We do not belong to this material world.
We do not belong to this material world. Your topic was oneness of God.
Yes.
And oneness of religion. Is it true that the Supreme Being is one, and therefore the process of approaching him is also one? If so, why so many paths leading to him? So that's the question.
Yeah, again, we've already talked about the God is one. We spoke about
no, the different, how?
Yeah. Now, so the oneness of religion, as I said earlier, now, there is when there's the ultimate path of God, the ultimate is love of God. That's the ultimate path, religion of love. But in order to reach that path, there may be many different paths in order to reach that ultimate. So therefore, we have, as I said earlier, that we have many traditions whereby people worship God differently, and we cannot condemn any of those traditions. We don't condemn the African tradition or the South American traditions or Egyptian tradition. We don't condemn that because they can see some kind of element of divinity in all those various traditions. So there are, because it's a gradual process. It's a gradual process of ultimately connection with God.
It's a gradual process, and because you don't condemn African spirituality or anything, you believe it's time and everything will be fine. Is that what you believe?
Yeah, in the course of time, one will eventually go to the higher process.
Okay. So when you were in Nigeria, when you were young, and you know about Shango and all that, when these people are practicing their spirituality, the little you saw when you were young, how did they dress when they are practicing that?
And you know, you're also African ladies. They worship. They wear like what is famous in my area is like called the Ocean. That this Ocean River is very famous in Ocean. You know, people dress simply. They go there to worship Ocean. They dress in white and all that.
They do calico.
You know, exactly.
Yeah. And you saw a few shrines.
In Benin, in Cotonou, Benin, they have this. They worship Oya there. You know, this voodoo. They worship Oya. So because they believe that God, you know, some element of divinity is there.
Okay, I'm coming to ask you a few questions about that.
Yeah.
They use calico to tie themselves. They don't wear shoes and all that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and when you get into any shrine, what have you seen a shrine before?
Yeah, many times.
How they look like?
I mean, you know, when I was young or now.
Oh, anytime you've been there, you are from there, so you know. So tell me what you remember.
Those days, you know, they look fantastic. They look mystic. I remember, you know, when I was young, one time I think it was my older sister. She took me to one babalawo. We call it babalawo, like an Ifa priest. So the Ifa priest, because my sister, she was trying to get a husband, and then the babalawo was start ringing his bell, and when he was ringing his bell, and then he was communicating with this spirit. There's a box, so he was communicating with the spirit inside the box, and then the spirit started speaking. Was speaking, and then telling them, okay, you're going to get a husband, this and that, this and that, this and that.
I was even trying to.
So that was something.
That was it. I want us to get through to is their way of dressing. If you looking at this worldly thing, like you use the way you dress as an example, that's why I'm coming here. Yeah. When you go to shrine, they don't actually have huge houses. They are just in a small. Sometimes the place doesn't even have a door. They have used calico to make a door there, and when they are worshiping, they are just in a piece of calico worshiping. Since you went to India, have you seen anyone dress like the way Africans dress when they are practicing spirituality?
Because as they say, Simplicity is a spiritualism. Simplicity. So normally a spiritualist is very simple. The way they dress, the way they go around. So this is, like those African priests, they dress very simply. So, of course, in India, whereby all the priests, they all dress like this. We call it this simple dress and the dhoti. There is no like extravagance, nice attire.
So that's why I brought. That's why I brought in the African spiritual practices, the way they also dress. Very simple. It's not like the church having a huge building, having a whole lot of lights and workers and all that. They don't. When they go home, they leave the shrine just like that, and they are, like I showed you, they have just a piece of calico on themselves. When you go to India, you don't see anybody dressing like African spirituality.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of closeness actually between the African tradition and the Vedic tradition. A lot of closeness. As a matter of fact, when our movement began in Africa, in Nigeria especially, one of the things that attracted most of us was the closeness of the tradition between
their way of worship and
there's a lot of closeness there.
Okay, so if there is a lot of closeness there, and you don't see anybody in India dress the way your people dress, why didn't you pick your own? Because it's equally moderate, it's equally not materialistic. Why didn't you pick, and you are saying the same God, why didn't you pick your own and project it, but rather projecting Indian culture? We want to understand this.
That's not the way. It's because, I mean, first of all, dress does not make you spiritual. You're not spiritual because of your dress. You're spiritual because of your thinking, because of your
way of life.
So dress is the manner of dress is a minor thing. But for a spiritualist, the more simple you are in your appearance, the more it's easier to think higher, because as I said, one's supposed to think high. They say simple living and high thinking. That's usually the mode of life, which means simply in behavior, but think very, very high. So because we have this particular tradition, which is Vedic tradition, so we have to dress accordingly. Just like the Roman Catholic Church here, they also dress like the Vaticans and all that. So because of this is the tradition, which in terms of the dress, which they follow. So similarly also, it's not that we cannot dress like voodoo priest or anything like that. We can, but again we have to follow our particular tradition, whereby we dress. We call this dhoti. We dress that way, because that's just the tradition. But that's not the qualification to do the worship. That's not the qualification, the way you dress.
To do the worship of the Vedic, right?
Yeah.
I brought that question in because you said the way you dress, not too materialistic. And I was trying to say that if that is so, then you practicing your own spirituality is the best. But you have explained. You have explained. You have explained. I think I have 1 million questions for you, and they are saying our time is almost.
Almost over?
It's almost.
We just started.
No.
We just started.
Yes, they are saying our time is almost. I asked this question because looking at Africans, you are an African. That's why I brought in those kind of things. The way we think about our own and the way we think about God. If you said it is one God, and we cannot project that same God that is here. You go to India and you do the Vedic thing, which you say is closer. When you look at it, there's not much difference. Okay, but this is rules and regulations that guides the Vedic, where all your answers, your questions were answers and all that. So now that we are doing everything India now, what happens with the God that you say the same thing in Africa? What happens to them? Are we killing our culture as black people, or what are we doing? How do we project or how do we polish our own?
The reality is that even when I'm in India, people will ask me in India, why are you dressing this way? The Indian will ask me, why are you dressing this way? So which means my dress is not really Indian dress.
Oh, I understand that. I've gotten
because when
over
I'm in
that.
India, Indians also ask me, why are you dressing this way in India?
We are talking about your verdict, and you saying one, the God is one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I have brought in the way Africans worship their God.
Yeah.
We've understand it's the verdict. It's not the first time I'm seeing
that,
this.
Like this, their God, the African gods, is Christian. No, God is God. This is something that we've made up ourselves. God is the supreme being. It's just like my senior explained earlier, that God is the supreme. You're just watching these children how they are
playing. That's so we are here to associate ourselves with the saints, so we are able to get through to that bigger God. Okay, you are an African. You have seen the path. And you are associating yourself with the saints. What are you doing to your siblings, like me and the rest of us? What are you doing to get us through to the truth? That's the question.
Well, I mean, as they say, that I cannot force you. I mean, I can teach you that this is the way to become happy in life, to be, how you can disassociate yourself from this world of misery and go to that place where there's light. Now, I can share that knowledge, but I cannot force you. Because why? God is the supreme independent, and he has also given us independence to accept or not to accept. Because we are meant to love him, we are meant to love God, but that love is based on independence.
So you share this knowledge for those who will hear and decide to join willingly. And when you share this knowledge among yourselves, you people have seen the light already. So how do you get the message to those who are in the darkness?
Yeah, there are many ways. We have, for example, we have our literatures, which we have so many of them. We publish our literatures and we disseminate, we distribute these literatures in all over the world. And then we also have our spiritual practice, which is based on the chanting of the God's name, whereby we go on the street, we chant God's name according to the Vedic tradition.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So this is actually spiritual sound vibration.
Okay.
That anyone who hears this, they get benefit, even though they may not know, but they get benefit.
So if I chant Shango, 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 nothing will happen.
I don't think anything's going to happen.
Okay. You are watching the biggest and largest. So our time is actually due. I want you to advise your fellow Africans what we should actually do to lift our inner man. I am preaching consciousness. I'm telling people to be enlightened. When you are enlightened, you love and hate it. So anybody that watches this platform will tell you love and hate. So I sometimes feel God himself is love. So when you exhibit love, you are exhibiting God. That's what I tell people. Yeah. So we have just 3 minutes to end your episodes. I want you to advise Africans, your own, center it around your people. Advise us what we should do, what we should seek, and what you think we should actually project.
Okay. So basically, God has no hate for anyone. God is full of love. He does not hate anyone. And there is no such a thing as eternal damnation. It's just like a father or a parent, they have equal love for all their children. It doesn't matter what the children do. So if a parent do not want their child to suffer perpetually, so why would God, who is the supreme parent, why would you do that? So there's no eternal damnation. So we have to be constantly asking ourselves that, why am I in this world of suffering? Why the troubles of life is always affecting me, and how to get out of it? So we have to constantly ask ourselves the question, how to get out of the world of suffering, and how to ultimately be the let's say, our brother's keeper. It's called our brother's keeper.
Okay.
So, so we have to constantly be asking ourselves this question: how do I become free from all these things? How do I know myself? Is there a God? And if there is a God, what is my relationship with Him? And if I have a relationship with Him, how do I establish this relationship? So if we constantly asking ourselves these questions, then our life will change for the better.
Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate your knowledge. Thank you so much.
So thank you so much.
We really appreciate your coming. Family, this is for today. I keep telling you people, knowledge is broad. You need to search, you need to pick to get through to the truth. Thank you so much for watching The Biggest. I'm always your annoying host. Call me Maame Grace. Shalom. Peace.